Previously on Metal Gear Sorry.
Metal Gear Solid. What do those words mean? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck cares? Get everyone out. Stop! The rogue foxhound.
No one discovered you were actually in charge of it, Mr. President. Also, your name is Solidus.
He starts crying, and then he flings his laptop in slow motion and goes, "Oh no, my sister!"
Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Okay, so Snake Eater came out in 2004, but we'll get there.
Well, that got away from me, didn't it? Full disclosure, that bit at the end of the first one where I mentioned how I like fell asleep and how it didn't get done, that's not because I was just too lazy to finish editing or I didn't know what to say. I just didn't finish. I didn't think I'd have to get to this point. None of you want this. I know you think you do. You don't want this. This is the bit of the video that you don't want. I had to put cue cards up behind the camera for this section of the video that I'm not supposed to acknowledge. Did a good job getting that far. I'm gonna try my best to get not as drunk this time around. I mean, I set the shots up, but that's more or less just because it was a weird visual without it. Of course, to be fair, going off of what's left of my notes after I, spilled the shots on them, I don't really have a whole lot left. And it seemed like people liked the first video. I mean, look at all these reviews that I'm gonna edit in. Look at them, wow. That one's from my dad. So considering in part one, the last thing I talked about was Metal Gear Solid 3, it only makes the most sense to talk about the rest of the prequel stuff first before I get to anything else. So with that in mind, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker came out in 2010 on the PSP and then was released a year later on the PlayStation 3 as part of like a big ass like collection of Metal Gear games. It takes place like 6 or 7 years after Metal Gear Solid 3. Naked Snake, he's Big Boss at this point, and he's living in Costa Rica, and he started a group called Military Sans Frontières, MSF for short. He is joined by a guy named Kaz Miller. Remember how I said Kaz was going to be important in the first video? I'm really banking on how anyone watching this has already watched part one, so if you haven't, please go watch that, because this is part two. So Kaz Miller is working with Big Boss, and they're just establishing their own nation without borders. Their own army without borders. Nation without borders, that's not how that works. They got a nation without borders in Costa Rica. Some stuff happens. Snake's former mentor, the boss, like her mind gets put into the AI of like this like walking tank called Peace Walker. It's not a Metal Gear, but it kind of looks like one. And they stop it. Big Boss starts recruiting child soldiers because, what else are they doing with their time? Two of them are named Paz and Chico. They're important. Paz betrays them at the end. She's working for a group called Cypher, which Cypher stands for Zero. Zero being Metal Gear Solid 3, the bad guy. He's the main villain of the series. Remember how I said that? This is where he becomes the main villain of the series. Is an old controlling group called Cypher, which is, they want to control the whole world. Some other stuff happens. Look, I'll be blunt with you. I only played Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker the one time, and it was back in 2011. I don't remember shit from it. Also Huey Emmerich is a friend of theirs. He's Otacon's dad. He's the one that got the Metal Gear planes in Metal Gear Solid 3. That brings us all the way up to Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5 was released in two parts. 2014 is a game called Ground Zeroes for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. And then again in 2015 is a game called Phantom Pain for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Are you keeping up? This game came out and everything because Kiefer Sutherland is in it. They had to get their money's worth out of Mr. 24 guy. This guy from 24, Kiefer Sutherland. Metal Gear Solid 5 starts and there's a nuclear inspection group coming to inspect Mother Base. It was set up by Huey Emmerich. Remember Huey sucks. And in the midst of that, Paz gets kidnapped. Oh, by the way, at the end of Peace Walker, Paz fell into the ocean because she got in control of the Metal Gear they were making. The Metal Gear that wasn't Peace Walker. I probably should have talked about this 30 seconds ago in the Peace Walker stuff. But Paz fell into the ocean. She got picked up in this prison called Camp Omega. And Chico went after her because Chico had a crush on her. They both got kidnapped. And so Big Boss goes in because Big Boss is like, no, we can't let someone who knows our secrets just kind of hang out at a prison camp. That'd be bad. So he goes in together, and then they find out that the inspection group from the UN was actually an evil group called XOF, which is the opposite of Fox. It's a guy named Skullface. He's mad at Big Boss. While they're gone getting Paz and Chico, XOF destroys Mother Base. So the Mother Base that you spent all the time working on in Peace Walker gets fucking nuked to shit at the beginning of Ground Zeroes. And then they find that Paz has a bomb in her stomach. And the medic on board, who sounds a lot like Kiefer Sutherland, gets it out of Paz. But then Paz goes, oh no, there's another bomb. And then she explodes. And, I mean, And Kojima's weird with girls, so the bomb was just... I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about where the bomb was. Paz explodes, and the helicopter that they're in, trying to get the bomb out of Paz, it goes down. Okay, so then Big Boss spent 9 years in a coma. Kaz is pissed because XOF destroyed all their stuff. Skullface is pissed because Skullface was like working for Zero, and he was there to kind of like clean up the messes from Big Boss. So like after Snake Eater, Skullface went in and just like, I don't know, mopped. And so you spend the whole game rebuilding Mother Base so you can extract revenge on Skullface. And then you do that, and you run into Baby Liquid at one point, and you find out that the entire UN inspection was Huey's fault, so you banish Huey to the ocean, because Huey sucks. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. Huey Emmerich from Metal Gear Solid 5 is he's a bastard. I'm gonna stop. And then at the end of the game, you find out that the snake you've been playing this the whole time. Oh, by the way, the snake you play as in Metal Gear Solid 5 is called the Venomous Snake. Not Naked Snake, not Big Boss, not Solid Snake or Liquid Snake or Solid Snake. His name is Venom Snake. Venom as in, like, the venom from a snake. Venom Snake. And there's also a girl named Quiet. She was sent to assassinate you at the beginning of the game, but you accidentally light her on fire, so she spends the whole game in like a bikini because she has to breathe out of her skin or something. It's uncomfortable. And then also a baby version of Psycho Mantis is there. You find out at the end that Venom Snake, he's not Big Boss. He's actually the medic that fell in the helicopter at the end of Ground Zeroes, and he's like a body double so that the real Big Boss can go do his thing. That was just a big walk around explanation like 40 years after the fact for why you killed Big Boss in Metal Gear 1 and then why you killed Big Boss again in Metal Gear 2. There's two Big Bosses because Big Boss can be anyone as long as that anyone is Kiefer Sutherland. Okay? You know, I'll admit, when I started this second video, when I was in the build up to it, getting my notes ready, everything, I thought this one was going to be more difficult. To be fair, I had intended on this thing being a single video, and so this was just supposed to be the last third of the first video. But up to this point, everything in part 2 felt a little easier, you know? Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots was released in theaters in 2007 by director Richard Kelly. It tells the story of The Rock. He's an athlete or something, and World War III is happening. Okay, shit. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots was released in 2009 by Kojima Productions. By 2019 by Kojima Productions. It stars Norman Reedus as the titular Death Stranding man. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots came out in 2008 on the PlayStation 3, and only the PlayStation 3. Everything else has fucking gotten remastered, but this is the only one that's only come out on the PlayStation 3, only on a single console. I still want a fucking PS3 because it takes place in the future of 2014. It takes place after Metal Gear Solid 2. Okay. So Snake is old now, and the entire world is engulfed in war. There's like a bunch of private military companies that are in charge of the whole world, and they fight battles for the sake of money. The 5 biggest ones are all named after the boss fights from Metal Gear Solid 1, and they're all controlled by Ocelot. Liquid Ocelot, because Liquid's arm is part of Ocelot now. You play a Solid Snake in this one, and like I said, he's really old. They call him Old Snake, and he gets called out of retirement by Colonel Campbell because he was in retirement after Metal Gear Solid 2. Even though Metal Gear Solid 2 ended with him going to do something, he was in retirement for a third time. Let the man die. They call him out of retirement because they find Liquid, and Liquid's planning on launching an insurrection against the Patriots. Patriots are still in charge of the world, and Liquid's planning on using the PMCs to stop them somehow. It's not very well explained. Liquid and Solid Snake are brothers. Solid Snake's the only one that can stop them. Also, there's nanomachines inside of everybody. Those are used to control the battlefield. So like if you have a gun and your ID isn't like tagged with the gun, then you can't use the gun, and their like emotions are controlled on the battlefield, so that way everyone can like be focused and shit. So then Snake lands in the Middle East because that's where Liquid is, and he meets up with the Rat Patrol, who's ran by Meryl from Metal Gear Solid 1, and then a few other characters. They deserve more screen time. They don't get it. And then a guy named Johnny who shits his pants a lot. So Snake sneaks his way through the Middle East, meets up with Meryl, and then they go find Liquid. And then they find Liquid. At some point, Snake meets a gun laundering guy named Drebin. He's got a pet monkey who's addicted to Coca-Cola. So Snake gets to Liquid. Liquid has Naomi from Metal Gear Solid 1, and she flips like a switch, and everyone's nanomachines on the battlefield go nuts and they start kicking the shit out of each other. That includes Snake, because when Snake met Drebin, Drebin gave him some new nanomachines so he could use the new guns. Snake passes out, and then he ends back up on the ship that he's living on with Otacon. He and Otacon are living on a flying ship called the Nomad. They're living there with a little girl named Sunny. Sunny is Olga's daughter. She cooks eggs a lot, probably why they named her Sunny. So then they go to South America because Naomi sent them a decoded message that said, hey, I'm in South America. Okay, I know I'm forgetting something. The system that's in control of the nanomachines is called the SOP system. It's short for Sons of the Patriots. At the end of chapter 1, when they flip the switch and fuck up everyone's nanomachines, it doesn't affect Johnny. But basically what happens is, like, when they flip the switch to, like, mess with everyone's nanomachines, it makes it so, like, all of the trauma they felt from war just comes flooding back at them at once, because it's the stuff that the nanomachines from the Patriots was trying to suppress. And Naomi sends them a decoded message through Soliton radar from Metal Gear Solid 1. I swear this game's got some original stuff. And so you go to South America, and that's where you meet up with the first of the B&B Corps. The B&B Corps are the boss fights in this game, and there are these 4 cool-looking exoskeleton suits. There's Laughing Octopus, Raging Raven, Crying Wolf, and the Mantis one. Screaming Mantis. Now, they are the 4 animals that were like the basis of the code names in Metal Gear Solid 1. All 4 of them are women who were traumatized by war, who have become so convinced that, like, killing Snake would cleanse their mind that that's their focus. I don't know. These games are weird with girls sometimes. So they go to South America. Snake runs into Laughing Octopus, and then he gets to Naomi eventually. Vamp's there. By the way, Vamp is there. Vamp didn't die. Otacon is mad because Vamp killed his sister. I swear this game does original stuff. So Snake gets to Naomi, and then he kills Laughing Octopus. Naomi tells Snake that the reason he's old now isn't because of Werner's syndrome like they thought before. It's because the fox dye they put into him in Metal Gear Solid 1, coupled with the fact that he is a clone of Big Boss, means he's got accelerated aging. He can't reproduce. So he's an old man now, and he can't have kids. Nothing stopping him from fucking. Naomi gets taken by Ocelot's guards. And so after that, Drebin comes and gets you out, and then Raiden shows up. Raiden is a cyborg ninja this time around. And then Raiden and Vamp fight, because they're the 2 characters from Metal Gear Solid 2. And then Raiden stabs Vamp through himself, and then Vamp dies for like the 5th time, and Raiden's puking up like fake blood, and so they take him away in a helicopter, and he goes, you need to go to Europe and find Big Mama. They go to Europe to find Big Mama, who happens to be Eva from Metal Gear Solid 3. I swear this game does something new at some point. Big Mama is who Raiden was working for in between Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4. That's like where he found out Sonny's location, what he had to do to find Sonny's location, get Big Mama, the corpse of Big Boss. And so when Old Snake gets to Big Mama explains that the Patriots, founding members of the Patriots, are actually the cast of Metal Gear Solid 3. So Zero, Paramedic, Sigint, Eva, Ocelot, and Naked Snake. They formed the Patriots because they wanted to reinterpret the world based on the will of the boss. The problem with that is that Zero, who went on to found Cypher and everything you fought in MGS5, so Zero and Big Boss had different ideas of what the boss's like final speech meant, so they splintered off, and everyone kind of like formed their own groups. Eva was the surrogate mother for the Les Enfants Terribles project, but they've also got Big Boss's body, because Big Boss's body is the thing they need to control the Sons of the Patriots system. GW from Metal Gear Solid 2, the AI, was just a big part of the Patriots system, because the Patriots system is just a big set of AIs that's controlling everything. That was started by Zero. Zero is the founding member of the Patriots because he's Zero. GW is one of the AIs, and the other AIs, the big one is one called JD, which is a satellite in space that you never see. Big Boss's genetic code from his body is the thing that lets you be in control, like take control of the Sons of the Patriots system. Can you tell I've played Metal Gear Solid 4 a lot? Because I replayed this game for the sake of this video back in April. It's July, and I'm doing all this from memory. I'm not reading these fucking notes. I am gonna probably need those notes at some point. So Big Boss, his body is the thing that Ocelot is after. But Big Mama's got it in Europe, and so there's like a big van chase that's cool, and there's a big thing on a river. Liquid Ocelot gets a hold of Big Boss's body and goes, "The system is mine," because the system is his now. And so he takes Big Boss's body and he like throws it into some fire because there's a boat on fire. Eva, Big Mama, gets so sad about it that she also throws herself into that fire and dies because she loves Big Boss. But then because Liquid is in control of the Patriots system, he can do this thing where he's got all these guards on a boat, and then all these other like opposing forces guards show up, including the Rat Patrol, who's Meryl and Johnny Shits His Pants. They call him Akiba up to this point. They call him Akiba because he's a big fan of technology. And so it's a reference to the Akihabara district of Japan. Akihabara is shortened for Akiba, so they call him Akiba. He wears like a Blu-ray remote control on his arm. It's fucking stupid. So all these guards are surrounding the one boat that Liquid Ocelot is on, but because Liquid Ocelot is in control of the Patriot system, he can make finger guns happen with his hands and then just like pretend to shoot at everybody, and then all of his guards will actually shoot. So he looks at a helicopter and he goes bang, and then because he points at the helicopter and goes bang, that apparently is like a mental way of telling the nanomachines to turn off the helicopter, so the helicopter just Liquid Ocelot destroys everything in Europe, and Big Mama Eva dies. Oh, by the way, because Snake has the Foxdie virus in him, the Foxdie virus has been in his system for so long that it's mutated, and it no longer like knows its hosts. It's just kind of doing whatever, and it's like spreading. So anyone who Snake comes into contact with could potentially just get killed off by Foxdie. Okay, so that's the first 3 chapters of this game. By the way, at the end of chapter 2, Naomi and Otacon had sex. Also, at this point, Snake has taken out 2 of the 4 members of the Beauty and the Beast Corps. You fight Raging Raven in Europe. They find out because Otacon's got a tiny little Metal Gear that has been with Snake the entire game, and it's stowed away on Liquid Ocelot's boat. And so they hear about his plans with Vamp to destroy the satellite in space that is, its name's JD. It's the Patriot AI that controls all the other Patriot AIs, one of which is being GW. They find out from that they're going to use a stealth nuke to destroy it because all the weapons in the world are part of the Sons of the Patriot system, so obviously if they try to fire a weapon at the thing controlling the Sons of the Patriot system, that won't work. Also, Otacon makes like one line about how all the nukes were decommissioned. Where's Naomi at this point? Naomi goes back with Liquid Ocelot and Vamp. Ocelot plans to launch a stealth nuke at JD. And where's the only place you can get stealth nukes? But on a Metal Gear. And where's the one Metal Gear that isn't like under control of the SOP system or a government? That's right. Metal Gear X from Metal Gear Solid 1. I swear this game's got something original. And so you have to go back to Shadow Moses Island, remote island off the Fox Archipelago in Alaska, powered by PlayStation 3 now. They make a joke about how the game used to be on 2 discs, but now they can just render Shadow Moses as 1/4 of a full game. But then you get through Shadow Moses again, and when you get to the remains of Metal Gear Rex, Vamp shows up, and you find out that Vamp isn't immortal. Vamp has special nanomachines in him, given to him by Naomi, that just let his cells regenerate and heal at like a rapid pace. Oh, by the way, this entire game, Snake, because Snake has had to suppress how the Foxdie is fucking with his body. He's got like this needle that he stabs into his neck a bunch. And so in chapter 4, when you fight Vamp on the Metal Gear Rex remains, that's what you use to disable his nanomachines so you can kill Vamp for real this time. Oh, also in Shadow Moses, you fight Crying Wolf, who's one of the Beauty and the Beast members. And the fight with Vamp's really cool because it does like a split screen. So you're playing one half of the screen and the other half is a cutscene, because this game can't even go. This game even has cutscenes while you're playing it. And so in one cutscene, you're watching Raiden and Vamp have like a cool ass ninja fight on top of Metal Gear Rex. And on the other side, you're just like shooting a railgun at these smaller Metal Gears called Geckos. I haven't mentioned the Geckos yet. The Geckos are like these little smaller bipedal Metal Gears. They got 2 feet that are made of like flesh, and they walk around and they like moo like cows. Like they walk around and they're called Geckos, but they go like a cow. So you shoot like a like 100 of them while Raiden and Vamp are fighting, and then Raiden kills Vamp. And then Naomi shows back up, and Naomi goes, hey, by the way, I've had cancer this entire time, and the same nanomachines keeping Vamp alive are also keeping me alive. So she stabs herself in the neck with the nanomachine needle. She feels guilty for, I don't know, keeping Vamp alive and helping Liquid Ocelot. So she does that, and then like the cancer kills her like super quickly. And Otacon is watching from his little Metal Gear, the Metal Gear Mark II. And because he had sex with Naomi once, he's like really sad about it, and he cries. And then you take Metal Gear Rex and you leave Shadow Moses Island, and you end up on the beach of Shadow Moses Island, and Liquid Ocelot shows up inside of a Metal Gear Ray, and then you have a Metal Gear fight. It's awesome as shit. Old Snake beats Liquid Ocelot in the Metal Gear fight, and then when Liquid Ocelot falls out, they do the thing from the end of Metal Gear Solid 1 where Snake goes, Fox, and Liquid Ocelot goes, die! Except Liquid doesn't die because he's just joking around, so he goes, think again. And then he runs off. And this is the part, okay, there's some stuff I forgot to explain. Drebin, when you run into Drebin at one point, he explains to you these things called havens, which are like, he uses like the term tax haven, which is a thing rich people use to have offshore bank accounts to not have to pay taxes or something. Anyway, that's important, he says, the word haven, because as Liquid Ocelot runs towards the shoreline of Shadow Moses Island, a version of Arsenal gear from Metal Gear Solid 2, you know, the big ass boats, game's got original stuff in it, I swear, it rises up from the ocean, and it's got a version of Mount Rushmore, except all the faces are just different versions of Big Boss. That's Outer Haven, not Outer Heaven, Outer Haven, because that's been Liquid Ocelot's plan this whole time, is to outdo Big Boss. But instead of Outer Heaven, he makes Outer Haven because it's a boat, so it's like truly free from the literal borders. You know, Big Boss had established Outer Heaven with MSF, but it was just off Costa Rica. It was bound by its location. Outer Haven is a boat, so it's truly free. I don't know if that's what they were going for, and I never made that connection until just now as I was saying it. And so he gets on Outer Haven. Snake's nanomachines start fucking with him at this point. He's taking the big boat and he's about to run Snake over with it. But then who shows up? But Raiden. He's missing one of his arms. Raiden was trying to follow Snake when Metal Gear Rex was leaving Shadow Moses, but he got caught under rubble, so he has to chop his own arm off to break free. He's there with one arm and he's holding Outer Haven back, and Outer Haven crushes him, and Raiden dies, and not really. But right before it's about to run over Raiden for realsies and then run over Old Snake, it gets shot out by an old World War II vessel, which is being piloted by Mei Ling from Metal Gear Solid 1. She's working for the Navy now, and so it retreats into the ocean. And then chapter 5 of this game, by the way, each chapter starts with a cutscene of Sunny making eggs, and it's just like a shot of the eggs. And I guess each chapter is supposed to have something to do with what the chapter is about. Like, for example, chapter 3 is when the snakes all finally come together, so like the yolks of the eggs like merge. It's goofy shit, but makes me want to go make some eggs right now. So chapter 5 of this game, they're all on the old World War II vessel. You know, the Rat Patrol with Meryl, Snake, Otacon, and they go, wow, listen, Ocelot's about to do his thing. He's about to make his plans come true. So we got to launch ourselves onto Outer Haven and stop them. They've got a virus that can stop the JD AI. It was an AI that Sonny Gerlukovich repurposed from the virus that Emma Emmerich made in Metal Gear Solid 2. It's just like, it's meant to work on all of them this time around. This game doesn't make any fucking sense. And so you launch yourselves onto Outer Haven, Old Snake and Meryl, Johnny, and so you sneak through Outer Haven and you fight Screaming Mantis, who gets taken control of by Psycho Mantis, and so you get a fun little Psycho Mantis cutscene again. So Snake goes on ahead with the Metal Gear Mark II to upload the virus to stop GW, and Johnny and Meryl stay behind to stop the soldiers that the soldiers that Ocelot's in charge of. They're all called frogs, by the way. And so you move on ahead, and then you end up in a room where Snake's Fox Die nanomachines go nuts. So he collapses to the ground, and then a bunch of frog soldiers surround him, and then Raiden shows back up with no arms, but he's got a sword in his mouth, and he's like, I am lightning. The rain transform. That's not how fucking lightning works. And so he electrocutes a bunch of the soldiers, and Snake goes on ahead, and so like everyone is staying back to make sure Snake can get the Mark II to its intended destination. There's a hallway made of microwaves that Snake has to walk through, but Snake doesn't give a shit, and you walk through it, and it does another thing where like the game splits between cutscene and gameplay. It's like split screen. And so you're watching every one of your friends get their ass kicked while Snake is dying in a microwave hallway. But the last cutscene you watch is of Sonny making eggs, and Sonny makes the eggs the right way this time. So like it implies there's gonna be a happy ending because Snake gets through the microwave hallway just fine. Great fucking job with your defenses, Arsenal gear. Snake defends the Mark II while the Mark II uploads the virus to GW. They've got these little tiny like AI things that are like a circle with like 3 arms, and they're like kind of they crawl around. Snake shoots a bunch of them off and he yells, Otacon! And then Otacon does it. He saves the day and it disables everything, but it doesn't just stop at GW. It disables all of the Patriots AIs. And then a video Naomi pre-recorded plays on every screen ever where she was just like, oh, you did it? Well, that's good. I'm already dead. This is what Naomi sounds like. She basically explains how her and Sonny took the cluster Emma-mate and repurposed it so it would just destroy the Patriots. And it does. And then Snake collapses to the ground and dies. Except he doesn't die. And he wakes up on top of Outer Haven. Liquid Ocelot is there, and Liquid Ocelot is shirtless. And he goes,
Hey, Snake, we need to fight to the death now. Everything I wanted has happened according to plan. You've destroyed the Patriots. I'm not supposed to talk about Death Stranding.
and so they have like this really cool ass fist fight where like it like goes through eras. So like it starts out and you're listening to like the Metal Gear Solid 1 music, and the health bars are Metal Gear Solid 1's health bars, and it does Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid 4 because this is the game for the fans. You beat up Liquid Ocelot and you kill him, and he says some stuff as Liquid, and then he convulses for a bit, and then he talks as Ocelot again, and he goes, you're pretty good, which is the thing he said in Metal Gear Solid 3. I don't remember if I mentioned it in the last video, but he dies. There's some voiceover by Otacon where he explains that the worm cluster took out the AI, took out the Patriots' control, but left like the vital functions intact, food and water and transportation and the things people need to survive. All that infrastructure's still there. It's very convenient. It's very end of Phantom Menace of them. Meryl and Johnny get married. By the way, you find out Johnny is the guard from Metal Gear Solid 1 who would shit his pants a bunch. And the reason that like all the nanomachines going haywire didn't affect him is because he's afraid of needles, so he just didn't get the shots, which is why he shit his pants all the time, because like the nanomachines were supposed to suppress irritable bowel syndrome, but he didn't have the nanomachines to suppress it, so like he just shit a bunch. So he and Meryl get married at the end of the game, and then it cuts to Solid Snake. By the way, before it cuts to Solid Snake, it cuts to Raiden. Raiden's got 2 prosthetic arms, and then Rose shows up. Rose has spent the entire game, Rose from Metal Gear Solid 2, she spent the entire game pretending to be married to Colonel Campbell. You find out at the end that she was lying to like kind of keep herself out of the Patriots' gaze, and her and Raiden have a kid. That's it. And then it cuts to Snake, and Snake is at a graveyard. It's the graveyard of Big Boss and the Boss, because the Fox Die virus is going to mutate again in his body at some point and basically just turn him into a big biological weapon. So Snake's got to die. So he's got a gun, and he puts the gun in his mouth. That's unfortunately probably the famous thing from this game. He unhinges his jaw like a snake. Like he's just like, if this were a gun, he just it'd be like that. And so Snake shoots himself, but like the camera pans up so you don't see him actually shoot himself, you just see a gunshot go off. Cuts back to Meryl and Johnny's wedding, and Drebin is there, and he explains that everything was the Patriots doing. The Patriots like kind of like manipulated things so that Snake and Otacon would stop Liquid. They just didn't expect the AI cluster to also destroy them. Rat Patrol, you rework the letters, it spells the word Patriot. Drebin was raised by the Patriots. Patriots were in control of everything. And then the game ends. The credits roll, and you see the voice cast, and it ends with the voice actor for Big Boss. Wait a minute. Big Boss hasn't been in this game. Big Boss is dead. They burned his body in Europe. Not so fucking fast. Cuts back to the graveyard where Old Snake killed himself, and he didn't kill himself. That gunshot you heard was Big Boss, who was alive and standing behind him, and he fired a gun in the air to get Snake's attention. Oh boy, what does he explain to Snake? I might actually have to look at my notes for this. The Patriot AI created the war economy. Ocelot and Eva's plan overall, because they've just been back and forth betraying people, their plan was always just to try and get Big Boss back after Big Boss died at the end of Metal Gear 2. Ocelot was never actually possessed by Liquid. He just took Liquid's arm and put it on his own, and then he used hypnosis to make himself think he was Liquid. That was to divert attention away from Snake. from the Patriots. Zero is also at the graveyard, and he's just an old man. You know, he destroyed the world and he didn't even know it. And so Big Boss says some stuff about how he's got to bring Zero back to nothing. As long as Zero exists, Zero will eventually become 1, which will become 2, which will become 10, which will become 100. He says a bunch of shit about how like this will always just keep happening as long as Zero is around. And Big Boss just like turns off his wheelchair and it kills him. So Zero dies. Big Boss explains to Old Snake that the nanomachines that he got from Drebin at the beginning of the game was a second strain of fox dye that was designed to kill the members of the Patriots. That's how Eva actually died. That's how Ocelot actually died. It wasn't the fist fight. It wasn't the fire on the Volta. And then Big Boss collapses because the new strain of fox dye is what's killing him. And then he explains to Snake that because he's got a new fox dye in him, that fox dye is uprooting the old one. It won't cause an epidemic. He won't be killing people left and right. So he can live longer as a man. They walk over to the grave where the boss died in MGS3, and Big Boss does the same thing. He sits down and they smoke a cigar together, and Big Boss goes, "This is nice, isn't it?" And then Big Boss dies. For real this time, and then it cuts to the real credits. You hear Snake in the post-credits have a conversation with Otacon about how he's gonna live as a man he doesn't have to live as a snake, he doesn't have to live as a beast or a clone, he can be his own person. And they make a joke about Sonny cooking eggs, and the game ends. And that's Metal Gear Solid. And as far as I can think of, there is nothing I'm forgetting.